The brothers.
Okay, welcome back to the VG Bros. I'm Brother Andy, that's Brother Phil. We are doing another I Hate video because there's so many things to hate in this world. And it's not just the fact that I hate these, but it's the fact that so many other people like them or are into them. That's really baffling to me.
And there's no reason anybody should like these things.
Yeah.
And we might lose some subscribers, but
We're going to lose subscribers.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Yeah, get your finger over that unsubscribe button. Just hover over it right now.
Just get ready. Wait till the last one. Oh, man. I hope... I don't even...
Where do we want to start?
Where do we want to start?
Let's start with the first one.
Let's start with the first one.
Yeah.
Number one on the list, things we hate that are awful. Andy, what is this?
Funko Pops.
Yes.
They're garbage.
Stop buying these things.
Stop collecting them. I don't understand this.
Every single Comic-Con, Game-Con, Toy-Con, everything I've ever gone to, every third booth is a giant wall of Funko Pops. They are ugly. They're unimaginative. They're way overpriced. Every other cubicle at work that I walk by, there's like 5 Funko Pops. And I'm like, wait, are those Marvel characters or Harry Potter or Game of Thrones? I have no idea what they are. They're awful.
They're ugly. They're uninspired. And here's the thing. They're very cheap to make because that mold of that big, ugly, round head is the same for every single character. And they just put slightly different, the Harry Potter glasses or the hat for some other guy or whatever. They're very cheap to construct these things. And they end up selling them for, I don't know how much they cost. I've never bought one in my entire life. And I never will.
Never will.
But what are they, like $15 a pop?
I don't know what they are. They're way overpriced.
Yeah.
They're awful.
Dude.
They don't look good. Every time I see them on someone's desk, I just roll my eyes.
I know.
Like, come on.
They're
really?
not charming.
No.
They're not imaginative. They're just stupid. I was at GameStop about 6 months ago, and I think I was trading in a bunch of Wii stuff from a yard sale or something. Some guy came in looking for a specific Funko Pop, and they didn't have it. So he turned around and left the store. Right after he left, the UPS guy comes in the store and drops off a couple packages. About 30 seconds later, that guy came back in the store and he wanted to know if the UPS delivery was more Funko Pops. He was like staking out the store outside, waiting for the UPS truck on the off chance that they're dropping off another delivery.
Dude, get a better hobby.
Yeah.
And look, it's not like I'm against collecting toys.
Yeah,
Obviously, you've
come on.
seen my Star Wars collection. You've seen my video game collection. I'm not against collecting toys. These are not toys.
Yeah.
These are plastic.
They're dumb and cheap.
Garbage made for adults, right? I mean, kids aren't even...
yeah, kids aren't
How do
into
you
these.
play with these things?
Yeah.
And I feel like they've just taken over everything.
They're everywhere. They're at Bed Bath & Beyond has these things. Like,
They're just terrible.
Which part of Bed or Bath or Beyond?
The Beyond part,
Is it
obviously.
the Beyond part?
Yeah,
it
it
must
has to
be.
Stop buying Funko Pops,
this,
everybody.
people.
What's next on it?
I
How many
don't
more
know.
subscribers can we lose? What's your password? I don't know. Password.
Do you have any of these?
I've got one somewhere.
Put it up here.
Oh, I don't know what that
Give me
is.
this. Give me this. Shovelware. Well, that's actually
Oh wait,
good.
no, I do have a
there
Turok
it
game.
is.
There it is.
All right.
There it is. Hold on.
Found it.
Let me get these good games out of the way. Not
Well,
that one. Not
minus
that one.
that one.
Not
Yeah.
minus all those.
This is not a good game.
Not this one. Not this one. Jeez, does N64 have any good games? Go.
So, everybody really wanted to like this game. Do you remember this?
Are you kidding me?
It was 1997.
This was the second coming.
98. We had been playing GoldenEye, like pulling all-nighters with GoldenEye with all of our friends. And Turok the Dinosaur Hunter comes along, and it sounded kind of like, ooh, dinosaur hunting. Like, that's kind of a cool concept. And it was either this or the sequel that came or required the expansion pack.
One of them did. I can't
I think
remember.
it was the second one. And it was like, ooh, the graphics are going to be so much better now that you have the expansion pack. And all these dinosaurs, everybody loved dinosaurs in the 90s. We all grew up watching Jurassic Park, right? So it's like, ooh, now we're a dinosaur hunter. Dude, these Turok games are hot garbage. They're unplayable. They're just awful. They give you these, like, crossbows, and you're supposed to take down an entire dinosaur with these weak weapons. Weak weapons are one of my pet peeves in video games, especially freaking shooters, where like that's the whole point of a game is this is a shooter. Dude, I hate weak weapons. And you're just like,
Oh yeah, Half-Life 2.
one of the Half-Life games, they start you out with like a crowbar, and you're just like swinging at these maggots, and you're like, dude, I freaking hate weak weapons in video games. It's a pet peeve of mine. If you want to make the game challenging, don't do it by making the weapons weak. It drives me bananas.
My turn. You know what else I hate in a first-person shooter? I hate it when I shoot something and I take away damage and there's no reaction whatsoever from the thing that I shot. Like when you shoot a dinosaur in this game, you're right. It's like, or some weak crossbow or something, and then you look at it and there appears to be a little mark on it where you shot it, but there's no reaction. When I shoot somebody in a first-person shooter, I want to see the back of their head explode.
Yeah.
I want to see their top of their head turn into a canoe. And you said it didn't age well. This was awful when it came out. Because we got, I can't remember if it was this or the second one, like almost day one.
Yeah.
We either rented it or we bought it. I have
can
a
remember.
memory of playing it.
Yeah.
And I think I played it like twice. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is the worst experience in a video game I've ever had in my life. The graphics are awful. There's fog everywhere because, I mean, that was the only way they could put this game on N64, was just put a ton of fog in the game. It's so boring, people. All these people who are like, oh, bring Turok back. No, don't you remember how awful this was?
Dude, they were terrible.
What's next?
What's next? I know we got a list.
We got more subs to
Hang
lose.
on.
I don't know.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
What do we have
I'm
next?
really getting worried here. I freaking hate modern Disney. I hate what they've done to Star Wars. I hate what they're doing to Marvel. I hate everything they stand for. They don't stand for anything that's good or of any quality anymore. The only thing they stand for is making some backwards political statement so that they can try to please a certain portion of the population, I guess.
Yeah.
And as a result, everything they just fart out is just awful.
Yeah. I agree. The new Star Wars movies, every single one of them is mediocre at best and pretty terrible at worst. It's not good. And I'm not one of these people that says Disney ruined Star Wars because, come on, George Lucas ruined Star Wars. It's called
before.
the prequels, okay? Disney didn't ruin Star Wars, so I don't want to hear that. The prequels are infinitely worse than the new Star Wars movies.
Immeasurable.
Which is hard to even imagine. We could do a whole video on the prequels. We hate them as much as anybody, but it's not Disney's fault that Star Wars is. They didn't ruin Star Wars. They actually, I mean, if you watch The Force Awakens compared to the prequels, it's a lot more watchable. It's not a great movie, but it's 1,000 times more watchable than the prequels. But at the end of the day, these movies are just bland. There's no romance. There's no fun characters. They had some fun characters, and they just took a dump on them and made them into idiots. Like Poe. Yeah. Poe should have been the new Han Solo, and they just made him out to be a jerk and a moron.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I get it, Disney. I get you're trying to make some political statement. I understand that the white man is now the most evil thing in the universe.
Apparently.
Because if you watch The Force Awakens and you look at all the villains, it's like
yeah,
all white men, 100% white men. And then you look at all the good guys, and it's like a total mix of everything.
Yeah, the whole rainbow.
Fine, I get it. And as a white man, I don't know. Does it bother me a whole lot? I don't know. I can live with that.
I don't care.
I don't really. If you made a good story with good characters,
yeah,
I just don't care. Yeah. I really don't. But
I agree.
You're not making a good story, and you're not making good characters. Yeah. You're just crapping all over everything and recycling old ideas, and you're not even making them that good. And don't give me this crap about Rogue One and Solo being like so good. No, those are worst in my opinion.
They're not good.
Oh, they're awful.
Yeah. Because
the other thing they're doing is that they're sitting down at the drawing board going, how do we invent more characters to sell more action figures? This is what they're doing. If you ever are wondering why you don't quite love new Star Wars as much as old Star Wars, just think about the amount of characters in these new movies.
Dude,
There's so many of them.
They just keep throwing more at you. Instead of developing the existing characters, which they should have done, every new movie, just like, where are all these characters coming from?
Dude, when I was watching Rogue One, I felt like every 15 minutes they were throwing a new character at me, and I was like, well, wait a minute, I don't know the old one yet.
Yeah.
And now you're throwing in your new one, and then another one, and another one. And by the end of the movie, there were so many characters, I didn't know any of their names. I didn't care about any of them. And I knew it was going to happen ultimately. That was the inherent problem with Rogue One. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen ultimately. When we were kids, back in the 80s, Disney didn't have the greatest reputation at that point. Their movies, the quality in their movies had really started to suffer, and it had been for quite some time.
After Walt Disney died,
Yeah.
their quality took a dip, and it took them a long time to recover.
Took them a long time.
did.
The Little Mermaid came out. People were like, mostly kids were like, oh, wow, that was a really fun movie.
It's okay.
And then Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, and all of a sudden it was like these movies were being nominated for
It was
Oscars.
like, dude, Disney's back.
The music was incredible in these movies. I mean, Disney was back.
Right.
And then they acquired Pixar. It was like, wow, these Toy Story movies are so fantastic.
I love Toy Story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Monsters, Inc. and Finding Nemo. Like, these were great movies. And for a long time, Disney was synonymous with quality when it came to this stuff. And they stopped. For a while, they just started farting out sequels. There's sequels to Peter Pan and Cinderella. There's sequels to The Lion King, and they all went straight to video, straight to home video. Aladdin had a sequel, multiple sequels, straight to home video because they were trash, and Disney didn't want to release it in the theater because they knew it was trash, and so they didn't want to do that. And then after, I don't know when this was, 15 years ago, they stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And I think it was a very conscious decision at Disney to go, you know what? We're not going to just fart out garbage anymore.
Yeah, we're better than that.
We're better than that. We're going to put out something. If we're going to make a Toy Story 3, it's going to the theater and it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And they did it. And it was really good.
Yeah.
Over the last, 5 years, 8 years, Disney made a conscious decision that they were no longer going to really care about quality and they were just going to care about virtue signaling. And that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and making these live action remakes of old cartoons, like Aladdin, which is baffling because these old cartoons are perfect. Aladdin, not the Will Smith Aladdin, but the old cartoon Aladdin, it's a perfect movie. It's
so good.
The voice work is a 10 out of 10. Robin Williams at his comedic best. The animation is great. The story is great. The music is great.
The songs are fantastic. Even the Genesis game is great.
That movie doesn't need an improvement, and it certainly doesn't need Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I don't understand. And again, they're just cashing in. They know this is going to make money, and so they're just like, let's cash some checks.
We haven't lost any subs yet, but we're about to. What's next?
Yeah, we're about to. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
What do we hate?
Okay.
Okay, hate is a strong word.
I don't even know how to say this because I have a lot of love for this,
Yeah.
but it's wildly overrated. And I think when people, okay, let's just say it. It's the Nintendo 64.
Yeah. Ooh. Unsubscribe,
Okay, fine.
unsubscribe.
You can cuss at us through your phone all you want. I don't care. You know we're right. And if you lived through 1996, 7, 8, 9, like we did, you remember getting that new magazine every month going, okay, what's coming out? And you look at the PlayStation 1 games and it's just like, there's like 42 new games coming that month. And you look at N64 and you're like, okay, we've got Quest 64 coming and another tennis game. And that's it. And you're like, okay, well.
Year after year, it was like this.
Yeah, month after month, year after year.
Yes.
And before you knew it, the GameCube was announced and you're just like, wait a minute. What did they ever do with this N64? I mean, yeah, we all love GoldenEye and Mario Kart, and we all played the heck out of those with all of our friends all the time. One-player experiences like Banjo and Mario and the Zelda games that we really liked, and that's why I have some love for this system. And I will say, I mean, if it wasn't for Rare, I mean, it'd be a complete joke of a system. But I do have some love for this system. But outside of about 6 games, it's an absolute joke.
Yeah, that's my assessment of it too. There are probably less than 10 games for the N64 that were good and still are good today that have held up really well. And those games are phenomenally great. which is why it's hard to put this on our list.
Yeah.
Because Mario 64 is one of my favorite games of all time. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask are phenomenal.
I'll say that about Banjo.
Banjo-Kazooie.
I love Banjo.
But the first-person shooters, the GoldenEye and the Perfect Dark, the Turok games, which we just talked about those, they weren't good to begin with, and they haven't held up. And then you just got a whole slew of
Wrestling games.
dude, shovelware and wrestling
Sports
games and awkward Castlevania games that are unplayable.
Games. Oh, there's so many. Don't you remember this? Why? What is it with this love for the N64? Did you not live through this like we did? Every month you're like, okay, when, I mean, we got spoiled with the Super Nintendo in the previous gen with all these RPGs and adventure games. And then we go into the N64 and we're just waiting, okay, where are they? And then it didn't take that long to realize, it was like, yeah, they're all going to the PlayStation. They're just not, they're not coming to the N64. We got a few gems from Nintendo and Rare, and that was it. I mean, that's literally it.
I can remember opening up a magazine and seeing an advertisement for like EB Games, and they would have a Nintendo 64 game, $69.99. Right below it, the exact same game on PlayStation. You know, it was a cross-platform title like Mortal Kombat
Rayman or something.
Trilogy or something like that. And it would be like $39.99 on PlayStation. It was just like, it was hard to justify buying these games back in the day, people. I mean, I don't know how many of you remember, but dude, $60, $70 sometimes for one game. We don't even pay $70 right now.
Yeah. With 20 years of inflation.
Yeah, with 20 years of inflation. These games were expensive. And I can remember going to Walmart with like $80 in my pocket. And it would be like, well, I can buy one N64 game, or I can buy sometimes 2 or 3 PlayStation games if you manage to find something on sale. How many games did the N64 have?
275?
Yeah, something like 200 or 300. It's not much. That whole generation, Saturn, PlayStation 1, N64, it's the first 3D generation where all of a sudden every game had to be 3D. That whole generation does not hold up very well. It just doesn't. There's no getting around it. All right, people.
Okay, we're about to lose half of our subscribers now.
If you are a teacher, you'll probably want to unsubscribe.
Just stop watching the video.
Stop watching the video.
Sorry about that.
We hate the entire school system.
In the United States. This is the one we know.
I can't speak for Japan's school system. I don't know. In the United States,
probably better than ours.
It's probably better than ours. Our school system is an absolute joke. They sentence you to 12 years of learning a bunch of crap that you're never going to have to know and never use in your adult life and has no application in the real world. They don't prepare you to have a job. They don't prepare you to handle your finances or live your life or anything. They prepare you to do long division and read a couple of Shakespeare plays. And how is this helping anybody in real life? I hate the school system. The entire thing is trash. It needs to be destroyed and completely rebuilt from scratch. I don't know what the right way to do it is, but dude, when I was 18, 19 years old and I was becoming an adult and moving out on my own, I realized there were all these things that I didn't know how to do.
Right.
And I had to learn how to do them. I had to learn how to cook. I had to learn how to handle my finances, write a check. I didn't know how to. I remember the first time I had to write a check. I literally sat there looking at it, and I think I asked my dad for help at the time. I was like, Dad, I don't know how to do this. I mean, they don't teach you anything in school. What did you learn in school that was applicable? What, read and write? Okay, you can learn that in a couple of years. I knew how to read and write by the time I was 8 years old. Okay, why do we need 12 years of this crap?
I didn't know what a credit score was. And at the age of about 19 or 20, I was talking to some guy at a bank or something about a credit, and he had to teach me. And I remember thinking, wow, this is fascinating. And why didn't I know this? Why wasn't I taught this?
You're not taught anything about personal finance
and
in
look,
school.
this isn't a knock against teachers, right? If you're a teacher, maybe your wife is a teacher. Look, I'm sorry, it's not your fault. This is not your fault. I'm not blaming you, and I'm not
blaming teachers.
Some of my best friends are teachers, and
they have to do the curriculum that is put in front of them. They don't have a choice.
My biggest gripe too with the education system in the United States is that everybody learns on a different level. Realistically, boys are different than girls. Oh. I mean, that's like, what is that, controversial to say now?
Apparently it's controversial.
Apparently it's controversial to say now. Boys are different than girls.
Very different.
They learn at different levels.
They do.
They're better at different things. Yeah. They just are. Boys are more into, sciencey stuff and automotive and wood shop. They're just more into that, right? And they all learn at different levels. Some boys at the age of 12 are smarter than some other boys at the age of 15. Well, in the school system, they do everything they can to make sure everyone it's just at the same level all 12 years. Yeah. I remember being in sophomore biology sitting next to this girl who was smarter than the teacher. I mean, Mr. Mitchell wasn't very much to... He was
That's not saying much.
No, he was...
he wasn't very bright.
He was an absolute moron. But she could have taught the class. And she would 100% every single test, and then she would be upset when she got a 99. I mean, she was incredible. She was a total prodigy. She's probably working at NASA right now or something. And I remember thinking, why is she in this class? Like, she's so much smarter than me and everyone in this class. Yeah. Yet she has to be in this class because we all are. Because we all have to pass this class so we can go to whatever we go to when we're juniors. Yeah. And then we all have to do the same crap so that we can do the same thing when we're seniors. And this is how it all works.
It's so much time. 12 years. You have to spend all day, every day, Monday through Friday, with some vacations, in a school, doing what they tell you to do. All right. And look, my wife works at a school. Okay. This is not against teachers or anybody that works at a school. It's not their choice. They have to do what they're told to do. But let me tell you, she's told me a lot of stories about her experience in a school where kids, especially troubled kids, are basically just thrown in a room with some construction paper and told to keep yourself occupied for the rest of the day. I mean, their parents are using these schools as babysitters, and they're not learning anything. And they're getting pushed through, and they're graduating, and the next thing you know, they're 18 years old, and they don't have any skills at all. Here's what needs to happen. At a very early age, schools need a vocational program where they say, okay, we're going to teach some jobs. Ooh, why is this controversial? We're going to teach you how to do a job. We're going to teach you how to turn a wrench. We're going to teach you how to work on a car. We're going to teach you how to make something. We're going to teach you how to do real world stuff. I don't care. Be a plumber. You know how much money plumbers make?
More than you and me.
More than I make.
Yeah.
We're going to teach you how to be a construction worker. We're going to teach you... I don't care. There's a lot of...
What are you into? What are you interested in, right? You're interested in cars. Fine.
Let's do it.
Let's get this kid over and teach him and make sure he knows how to be an auto mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you want to be a teacher, fine. Teach him how to be a teacher. When I was graduating, it seemed like every other girl in my class was going off to be a teacher. I remember asking everybody, what are you doing with your life? I'm going to blah, blah, blah college and I'm going to be a teacher. Okay, why do you have to wait until you're 18 to do that? Why can't you start that at an earlier age? Instead, I'm 14 years old and I'm learning how to factor a polynomial. When has that ever benefited me?
Raise your hand if you
life?
Factor polynomials as an adult.
One time.
As an adult.
As an adult. One time. Have you ever had to use that crap in your entire life? Once.
When I say that boys are different than girls, here's what the school system looks like right now. In a 5th grade classroom, Mrs. Wormwood will be sitting up there looking over at, Calvin and be like, gosh, he's staring out the window the whole time. He must have ADHD or something. Well, let's put some medication in him. He must have ADHD. All he wants to do is go play outside.
Yeah, he can't pay attention.
This poor kid, he just wants to play outside all the time. Yeah. Well, every year that goes by, this kid is just told how horrible of a student he is because he won't pay attention because he just wants to go play outside. By the time he's 19 years old, he comes back to the school with an automatic rifle and he starts shooting everybody. And then they wonder, and then they blame video games, they blame guns, they blame everybody. They blame whoever the president is. They blame everybody except the way that this kid went through public school. Why do you think there were no school shootings in the 80s and 70s and 60s, and frankly, any decade ever before, like Columbine. They didn't have hours of homework every single night. I mean, it's a nightmare for kids right now, the amount of homework they have. And look, a lot of boys aren't built for this stuff. We're just not. A lot of boys are not going to college. Right now, there are more females going to college than men. And that's fine. That's just how it is. If it's not for you, it's not for you.
So another thing, stop pressuring everybody to go to college. When I graduated, there was so much pressure. Every teacher was just like, how many applications have you filled out? Well, have you visited college? You got to go visit these places to make sure that you like them. And it's like, what am I going to do? Walk around a college campus? I don't know. They put so much pressure on everybody to go to college. College is not for everybody. College is a giant waste of time for a lot of people. I can't tell you how many people I've known who've gone and majored in freaking beer pong and they drop out 2 years later and they ended up working at Starbucks and they got $35,000 of student loans. Okay.
How'd that work out
How'd that work out for you? There are plenty of garbage men. There are plenty of bartenders. There are plenty of very honorable professions that don't need a 4-year college degree. And there's nothing wrong with that. That guy who's a garbage man, that guy's feeding his family. That guy's working hard. That is a very honorable thing to do. There's nothing wrong with that at all. He's making good money, probably makes a lot more than we do.
Garbage men where I live make 6 figures. I know that for a fact.
There you go. If all you're doing is freaking reading Macbeth and doing long division, how's that preparing you for life?
It's not.
I just don't understand. Like, make a cooking class mandatory. I spent my whole 20s eating freaking boxed macaroni and cheese and top ramen because I didn't know how to cook. I just flat out didn't know. I finally just had to teach myself. I just started watching YouTube videos, automotive classes, personal finance. Holy crap. How many people sign up for thousands of dollars in student loans and they get all these credit cards and they rack up all this credit card debt. They don't know how to handle money. Teach people how to handle money. We all use money. All of us. We're taught a bunch of crap that we're never going to use.
And I think they even do a much better job in Canada. I've known some Canadians before who are just really sharp and frankly shocked at how little we dumb Americans know.
Canadians know more about U.S. and U.S. history than Americans do.
100% true.
They do.
Yeah.
I have met Canadians. They can name every U.S. capital. They're taught this in their schools.
Name, how many provinces can you name?
Not all of them. And there's not even very many of them.
Prince Edward Island.
I'm embarrassed how little I know.
Yeah, I am too. I'm ashamed
We
of
just
it.
weren't taught it.
Ever. Literally never.
Yeah. The only reason I know anything about Canada is because we live in a border state and I've been there a bunch of times. But like, if you live in Texas or Florida, dude, you probably don't know anything about Canada.
Quick, what's capital of British Columbia? Wait, do they have capitals? Are they capitals? We don't know this.
I don't even know.
I'm ashamed of myself. It is embarrassing.
The U.S. school system is a big embarrassment.
It is.
They're just making stuff up as they go along here. They don't use what works, and they intentionally use what doesn't work. They're spitting out a generation of broke people who are in debt, who don't know anything, who don't know how to live in the real world, who don't know a job, have no job skills whatsoever. I learned everything I needed to know when it comes to reading and writing and arithmetic and all that stuff. I learned everything I needed to know by the age of about 14. And yet, I had to spend the next 4 years of my life doing busy work when I should have been learning job skills. Dude, your teenage years, 15, 16, 17, 18, you should be learning job skills. Say you want to be a doctor. Great. At the age of freaking 12, you ought to be learning about medicine. You ought to be studying anatomy, taking classes to teach you that stuff. No, we gotta wait. We gotta sit through 5 years of nonsense and then wait till you're 18.
Honestly, what a waste
of time. And then go to med
time.
school. It's such a waste of time.
Wasting these kids' lives, even the really smart ones that we know are going to be doctors and scientists someday. You're wasting 3 or 4 years of their lives. They're just sitting there in this stupid school learning nothing.
I'm done caring. You know we're right. Are we done? Is it garage sale season yet? What time is it?
I don't know. It's 10:30 to the quarter hour. It's garage sale season here. 2+ months.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like so long when I say it out loud.
It does. Well, maybe we can come up with more things we hate in the meantime.
If you want to see another video about stuff we hate, let us know.
Dude, it's endless. Yeah. We can keep going.
got any honorable mentions? Dark chocolate.
Yeah, what is with dark chocolate?
What's the point? Fruit flavored beers. Man, what are you doing? Who are you helping? I just don't get it.
I don't even understand putting lime in beer. And people do this with Mexican beer all the time.
Corona.
But it's like,
that's where the coronavirus came from.
oh, that's where that came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put the lime in the beer.
Yeah, little known
You're
fact.
supposed to put the lime in the coconut.
Coconut.
You drink them both together.
Yeah.
And you feel better.
Yeah, any other twins out there that...
You know, being a twin and a video gamer was awesome because everything was half price when we were kids.
That's true.
It's like, oh, hey, Ocarina of Time's coming out.
Super Nintendo's coming out.
It wasn't $200. It was $100.
Yep.
Think about that.
Yep.
Every video game wasn't $50. It was $25 for a brand new video game. Because that's all I had to save.
Yep.
It was $25.
I saved the other half.
It was amazing.
It was great.
Anyone else have this experience? Yeah. We're going to think of some more stuff we hate. Maybe some more stuff we love. I don't know. We can come up with anything.
Yeah. Maybe somewhere in the middle. Just stuff we don't really care
Just
about.
average stuff.
Mediocre stuff.
Like Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah.
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 They're not great. They're not bad.
They're not bad and they're not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just there.
Yeah. I agree.